All right, tonight we're diving into one of the most persistent and genuinely unsettling urban legends of the digital age. This is a phenomenon that doesn't scream, it doesn't chase you down. Nope. It just waits, very politely, right at your door. We're talking about the black-eyed children. So I want you to picture this. You're at home, it's late. Maybe you're winding down, watching a movie. The whole world outside is quiet. And then you hear it, a knock. It's not loud or aggressive, it's just there. And it's way too late for visitors. Your gut, that little voice inside, immediately tells you something is really, really wrong. So you creep to the door, you look through the peephole, and what you see just doesn't make sense. There are a couple of kids on your porch. They look young, anywhere from 6 to maybe 16 years old, and they're just standing there, heads kind of down, just waiting, super patiently. So, against your better judgment, you open the door, maybe just a crack. They look up. And the first thing you notice is their clothes are a little off, outdated, maybe, like a plain hoodie on a warm night. Their voices are eerily calm, almost monotone, and they talk like little adults, which just doesn't fit. And then this wave of pure primal dread just washes over you. It's an instinct, just screaming at you, that opening that door was a terrible, terrible mistake. They always have a story. They need to use your phone, they say their parents are on their way, they just need a ride. But their polite little requests start to feel more like demands. They get more and more insistent. And your hand is already on the door, ready to slam it shut when you finally see it. Their eyes. They're not just dark. They're solid, pitch black orbs. There's no iris, no white part, no soul. Just two dark, bottomless pits staring right back at you. What's so creepy about this whole thing is just how consistent the stories are. I mean, it doesn't matter where they come from. Witnesses from all over the globe report almost the exact same details. So let's break down the key elements that really define an encounter with the black-eyed kids, or BEKs as they're often called. The profile is just unnervingly specific, right? They always appear as kids or teenagers, which totally preys on our instinct to help someone who looks vulnerable. Witnesses always mention this unnaturally pale, almost corpse-like skin, and that weird, emotionless, monotone way of talking. The clothing is almost always simple and out of place. But the two things that never, ever change are that overwhelming, gut-wrenching fear they create in you, and of course, the most terrifying part, those solid black eyes. Now, here's a detail that really connects this modern legend to some very ancient folklore. It's called the threshold rule. Just like old stories of vampires or the fae, these things, they seem to need your permission to come inside. They can't just force their way in. They have to ask and insist and wait for you to say yes. And that single detail, that one rule, transforms them from just another monster into something way more sinister. It's like a test of your empathy versus your survival instinct. You know, every modern legend has an origin story. And while spooky tales of black-eyed beings might have been around for centuries, the specific phenomenon we're talking about today, the one that absolutely blew up online, can be traced back to a single moment with a single reporter in Texas back in the mid-90s. Okay, so it's 1996. A reporter named Brian Bethal is sitting in his car when two boys approach him, asking for a ride. He immediately feels that classic telltale dread before he even notices their coal-black eyes. A couple years later, in 1998, he posts his story online to a mailing list. And this, right here, is where the legend explodes. It basically becomes one of the first true creepypastas, a horror story that gets copied and pasted all over the internet. And as it spread, something really incredible happened. People started responding, not with disbelief, but with their own stories. It created this global, crowdsourced nightmare. Well, once a legend like this really takes root, you know the explanations are going to start flying. So what are these things really? The theories are just as unsettling as the encounters themselves, and they range all the way from the supernatural to the purely psychological. So on the paranormal side, you've got theories that they're demons or ancient spirits, maybe even alien-human hybrids sent here to observe us. Some people even connect them to the ghosts of real tragedies, like the child murders in Cannock Chase, England. But then, on the rational side, you've got explanations that point to this just being a powerful urban legend, totally fueled by the internet. I mean, special contact lenses can easily create the look, so hoaxes are a real possibility. Or it could be simple misidentification. Or it could just be that the story taps into our deep-seated primal fear of things that look human, but just aren't quite right. This is the one question that hangs over every single one of these stories. And a very small number of accounts claim to have the answer. There's a story of a couple in Vermont who let two kids in to get out of a snowstorm. They reported what happened next. The husbands suddenly started getting severe nosebleeds and dizzy spells. Their cats, who had been hissing at the kids the whole time, started to disappear or were found dead. Later, both the husband and his wife were diagnosed with aggressive forms of cancer, a fate they were convinced was directly caused by their uninvited little guests. So, at the end of the day, whether you believe these are real creatures or just a really powerful story, the fact that the legend has stuck around for so long reveals something pretty important about our modern fears. It thrives in that absolutely terrifying space between wanting to be polite and that primal instinct for terror. And here's a final, chilling little piece of lore that's grown around the legend online. They say that simply knowing about the black-eyed children makes you more likely to meet them. That the more you read, the more you research, the more likely you are to hear that soft little knock on your door someday. And well, you know about them now. And this, right here, is the absolute core of the terror. This legend taps into our deepest instinct to protect children, and it completely weaponizes it against us. It presents this innocent face, something we are hardwired as a species to trust, and it hides something utterly inhuman right behind it. It is the ultimate trip into the uncanny valley. In the end, there's no physical proof. There are no bodies, no artifacts. All we have is this growing collection of chillingly similar stories from all around the world. So it all really comes down to a single, terrifying question. If you're home alone, late one night, and you hear that quiet, insistent knock, what are you going to do?